What happens when one of history's greatest military geniuses decides, hey, maybe I can fight half of Europe on a rainy Monday? Spoiler alert, you get a French emperor face-planting straight into a Belgian cow pasture. Meet our main character, Napoleon Bonaparte, aka the short guy with a big ego. Okay, he wasn't actually that short, but whatever. So you probably heard of this guy. The dude starts off as a Corsican nobody, rises to power during the chaos of the French Revolution, and becomes Emperor of France by basically speed-running Europe with his army. For over a decade, Napoleon was the human version of a cheat code. He's like, oh, you're a monarchy? Cute. Let me overthrow you in 10 days or less. But after winning too many wars and crowning himself like a boss, literally, Napoleon made the classic villain mistake. He pushed his luck. He invades Russia in 1812. Yeah, that Russia. During winter. And it went horribly. 600,000 soldiers went in. Less than 100,000 came out. The rest were eaten by snow and starvation. This colossal failure gave Napoleon's enemies, the Sixth Coalition, the perfect window to strike back. They teamed up, invaded France, and in 1814 forced Napoleon to surrender. They sent him to exile on the island of Elba, which sounds like a vacation, but he's basically under house arrest with a sad little entourage. But, plot twist, less than a year later, my guy decides to do a Michael Jordan feat. He decided to return and escapes Elba, sails back to France. But instead of getting arrested or shot, he's welcomed like a rock star. Soldiers sent to stop him literally join him instead. He's back in power faster than you can say, this seems like a bad idea. Welcome to the famous or infamous 100 Days, a 3-month speedrun to Napoleon's final fail. Now, Europe's not thrilled that Napoleon pulled an Uno reverse card on them. So, the Seventh Coalition was formed, a supergroup featuring the UK, Prussia, Austria, Russia, and basically every European country that still remembers what Napoleon did to them. They're like, oh, hell no, not him again. Napoleon knew his time was short. His enemies were beginning to mobilize fast to prevent him from rebuilding his empire. His plan? Do a Cobra Kai. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. He knows he has a small window to divide and conquer the coalition before they fully mobilize. His main targets? Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington, commander of British and Allied forces in Belgium. Calm, brilliant, and experienced. And Field Marshal Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher, leader of the Prussians, a veteran with a personal grudge against Napoleon. On June 16, 1815, he crosses into what's now Belgium, hoping to drive a wedge between the two and destroy them separately to avoid facing them both at once. Classic divide and conquer, right? Except, spoiler alert, it goes horribly wrong. While he fought and beat Blücher at Ligny, he wasn't able to destroy his army. The Prussians slipped away, badly hurt, but still in the fight. Meanwhile, at Quatre Bras, his Marshal Michel Ney failed to prevent Wellington from retreating north. Instead of splitting the Allied armies apart, Napoleon now had two angry enemies ready to regroup. And then, the fateful day. June 18th, 1815. It's a rainy, muddy morning near the village of Waterloo. Napoleon's army is about 73,000 strong. Facing him is Wellington with 68,000 men, holding a defensive position on a ridge. Napoleon's plan is simple. Frontal assault with some finesse. But remember that rain? Yeah, it turns the battlefield into chocolate pudding, delaying his attack until late morning. That delay? Crucial. He starts by attacking the farmhouse of Hougoumont on the right, Wellington's strong point. Napoleon wants to use it as a distraction. But the distraction turns into a full-blown mess that eats up a massive chunk of his forces. The British hold the position all day, and the French just keep throwing men at it like it's a Call of Duty respawn point. Then Napoleon sends his main infantry assault straight up the center. But Wellington's troops are chilling behind the ridge, just waiting to mow them down with musket volleys and cannon fire. Meanwhile, Prussian forces under Blücher, who Napoleon thought he delayed, start showing up on the French flank in the afternoon, like an uninvited party guest who brings all their friends. Napoleon now has to split his forces to deal with them. At this point, Napoleon throws in his elite Imperial Guard, his final boss squad. These guys never lose. They're the human equivalent of a get-out-of-jail-free card. But they get wrecked. Like, the British fire into them at point-blank range and send them running. Seeing the invincible Imperial Guard retreat was like seeing Superman cry and flee. The French army lost it. Their morale shatters like your Wi-Fi during a Zoom meeting. Napoleon's army inevitably collapses. It was total chaos. It's like the world's worst group project falling apart in real time. Thousands die. The French are routed and Napoleon flees the battlefield. Yes, the same guy who once made emperors cry is now hoofing it like a scared intern after spilling coffee on the CEO. A few days later, he abdicates again. The Allies are done playing, so this time they exile him to St. Helena, a rock in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, where there's no chance of another comeback tour. No escape. No comeback. No Elba 2.0. Napoleon dies there in 1821, probably wondering how the guy who conquered Europe got clapped in Belgium by mud, timing, and a German dude with back pain. So, to recap, you've got one of history's biggest egos trying to reclaim his crown by speed-running a European beatdown, only to get curb-stomped by bad weather, poor decisions, and the worst final push in military history. Napoleon at Waterloo wasn't just a loss. It was the moment the world collectively said, dude, get lost. The moral of the story? Don't push your luck too far. Don't underestimate old men with armies holding grudges against you. And never assume rain won't ruin your evil comeback tour. 'Cause nothing says epic fail more than being ruler of all of Europe to being king of puddles in one afternoon.